And we will get started on how to reuse embedded SharePoint apps with PowerApps. As this is a big topic for a lot of people, it's been a highly requested capability out on the PowerApps site, or 500 votes for it. And we will show you today how to do that. So if you are wondering how to move an embedded form in a SharePoint list that's built on PowerApps and Flow, what this session is about, and hope you will enjoy your time with me tonight. So why don't we get started? Okay, there's my contact information. I am a co-founder of a company called Skylight Systems, and there's our contact info along with our main website. I'll show that again at the end of the hour as well. And as a housekeeping part of this session, make sure to mark your calendars for next March at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. There will be a Microsoft 365 collaboration conference in person, and it will be worth your time to go to that. We also want to thank all the sponsors tonight. Really appreciate them coming to the aid of all of our presenters, helping us put these on. And if you would take a little bit of time to go and check out the offerings from these great sponsors, I think you'd find a lot of things that would be helpful for your business. And let me see, there we go. They're also going to be giving away an Oculus tonight. Very cool. You have to visit the vendor booth. You want to submit your answers, and you want to have at least 5 correct answers to build that the entry that you're going to do. Finally, if you want to do a GoFundMe and help out some folks that are working hard on the front lines of the COVID crisis, here's some ones to consider. So please go ahead and look at the International Medical Corps, United Way. If you have a little bit of spare change, please go ahead and get that to those groups. Tonight, we are going to talk about how to reuse and migrate SharePoint-based PowerApps and Flows with a tool we've developed called P2P Express. And you can get information about it at the link shown on the screen. This is a big ask from a lot of people in the community, and it's probably something that you've been wondering how you could do it and what you can do to move apps that you develop that are embedded in SharePoint lists so that you can do application lifecycle management. Or you could do this with standalone apps. You could have things like development, test, and production. It's not a great idea to be changing production systems. You can also move SharePoint-based solutions between environments with this tool. You could build a starter kit, make reusable apps that are built around SharePoint with embedded forms. And you could do this manually, but it's very error-prone and very tedious. You've got to recreate the list and libraries that you use in SharePoint exactly. And you've got to manually change all the GUID references to those lists when you do the migration. So not a small task, and that's why we developed this tool. So why do you need the tool? First off, as I just mentioned, if you want to migrate an embedded SharePoint app or a SharePoint-based solution, and you want to move it between dev, prod, test, etc., you're going to have to exactly recreate all of those SharePoint lists by hand. And you can do it, but it's probably going to be a lot of errors, and it's probably going to be very tedious for you. You've got to export the app out, and then you have to open up the zip file, dig into the files that are in that zip file and that export file, look at all the GUID references to all the lists that were in the old references to the old app, and change all those to the. You could do it manually with something like Notepad, but it would be extremely tedious. There is a free tool you could try to update the GUIDs. Good luck with it. It is a link here on the screen. You could take a look at this, but you still have to recreate all the lists by hand. And it, again, is no small feat. That is why we put our tool together. We're the only ones on the planet with a tool like this. It's been reviewed by the PowerApps team, and they said, yep, you guys did it the right way. So our advice would be use our tool. And I'm going to show you a demonstration tonight of how you can take a form that you've used as a part of a list in SharePoint and you decide to customize that with PowerApps and maybe add some flows, and how you could then move that to another SharePoint site and make that a reusable solution. So let's get started. P2P Express, our tool, installs right on your PC. So you don't have to go to the web, you don't have to log into a remote session, you install the tool and it all works locally. Its pricing model is based upon how often you move. So the pricing starts about $80 for a move if you want to move from dev to prod or dev to test or reuse a component. And then it goes down from there. It depends how much you do it. If you just do 10, you could buy $800. If you start doing a lot of it, price goes down substantially. And if you do wanted to make it part of your toolkit, give us a call and we'll come up with a price for you. Here is a link to more information about the product as well as pricing information. So go ahead and take a screenshot of that now, and we'll come back to this at the end of the prezo as well. So let's dig in and see how this process works. And I'll be doing a live demo of migrating an embedded form as I do the presentation tonight. So I'll start first showing you on screen on a PowerPoint what it looks like. And then I will show you in the actual utility and show you how that works. So let's get going. Before I start, let's just see if we have anybody out there with any that might want to ask anything that's on top of mind before I get started. Anybody out there have any questions? Anybody joined on this call? Okay, then I'll go ahead and just continue on. Okay, so let's take a look here at a form that I want to migrate. I've got a PowerApps form that's part of a SharePoint list, and it has 3 different lists associated with it. There's a parent, and then there's 2 repeating sections here that are going to be what I consider a child list. And let's go take a look at that in real time here on the web and see what that looks like. So if I open up this form, you can see here, let me try and move this out of the way here if I can. You can see the form, and this is an embedded form here in SharePoint list. So I'll go ahead and close this. Let's just dismiss that. That'll close it for me. Let's go take a look one more time. And what I want to do now is start the process of migrating this to another SharePoint site with an. How would you do that today? There's not a simple way to do this, that's for sure. So let's go in and take a look at how we can do this with our tool P2P Express. So let me just pop over there and get back where we were. First thing you want to do is open up the Power App in the PowerApps Studio, and you do that just through the ribbon by opening up a form. So let's go ahead and do that. And as I said, I'm going to follow along and do this as we walk through the PowerPoint so you can see how this all works. So here I have an open form and I want to migrate this. I'm going to go ahead and customize this in PowerApps. And when I do that, it'll take a moment. It'll open up the PowerApps Studio for me. Let me close that one down. And let's go, go back over there. And I'll open up that deck while we're doing this real quick. Okay, so now we have it open in the PowerApps Studio, and I'm going to go to do File, and I'm going to show you a little trick here that is not known by many people at all. So this probably is worth the price of admission if you're following along here on the call. Here I am in the PowerApps Studio, and what I'm going to do is just make a small change to this label, and I'm going to hit Save. Now, many of you have probably wondered, how could I see this app, this migrated petty cache on petty cache forms? Because if I go to PowerApps, let's do that. And I go into PowerApps and I just select this here. I sign in, and if I go to my list of apps on the left-hand side, that app is not listed. I don't see it. I've got this embedded app here, but how can I see it to export it? So here's the trick. I'm going to go ahead and select this See All Versions. So I went to File, Save. I'm going to hit Save and See All Versions. And when I do that, I'm going to get a list of all the versions of the app. But here's the trick. In the top left, you see where it says Apps. If I click on the word Apps, it actually takes me to the list of apps. And guess what? I can now see that embedded form in my list of apps. So in the normal PowerApps, can't see it. But if I come in the back door, as I just showed you, and show you the list of apps by selecting the file, the save, see versions, select the apps hyperlink, there it is. And this is key for us, because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to export this out. Because remember, we want to move this to another SharePoint site. So this is a huge trick. If you've never seen this before, you just go to File, Save, see the versions, hit the Apps link. Now you can see it. And let's export this out. So I'm going to go ahead and export it out. I'll give it a name, and I'll call this SP Conference Demo. And I'm going to go ahead and make it a new app. So instead of the update, I want to create it as a new app and save it. Now, I don't have any flows with this, but if I did, I can also migrate the flows as well. And I'm going to export this. So we'll wait a minute while it does this. Give it a minute. And I should see it show up down here on the left. So we're waiting for the export to run in PowerApps. And now our tool is going to come into play, and we're going to start to use it. So here's my exported application. Let's show it in a folder. There it is there. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it into the folder that I've created for my demo tonight. So let's go do that. And I have a SharePoint conference that I made right here. And let's just make a new folder for this. I'll call it Conference Demo. So I can find it later. And let's just put it right in here. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it in. So there it is. There's my demo. And you can see that it's a zip file. So when I export this out, I've got this zip file. It's now got all the code. And now I want to set up a new team site and get all the lists ready and document libraries, and then do some magic to change the references within this app so it'll launch in this new site. So let's launch our tool that can help us along the way. Before I do that, let's just double check where we are in the process. You can see here where I saved it. I hit the See All Versions. I hit the Apps link. Do you see that in the top left? I now have the listing that I can now export it. And I gave it a new name. I saved it as new. And now I have it saved out on my C drive, out on my PC, just like I showed you right here, right? I've got this guy in the conference demo, and I'm going to write that down so I don't forget that when we come back to this in a little bit. So there we are. We're in that SharePoint conference. So now let's start up our tool and see what we can do to migrate this. So we have a great tool. It's called P2P Express, and it will lead you through the process of copying this into a new SharePoint site and making all the changes internally to it so that it will work in that new SharePoint site. You can also move it between environments this way too. So here we go. We start off with step one, begin the process by exporting it out, and you can see videos here in our tool. Now we want to connect to the SharePoint site that I want to copy. So let's go back to where that site was. If you remember, it's right here. Let's go back to it. I go back to SharePoint. I don't want to publish that. That's okay. And I'm going to grab the URL of that site that I'm copying the app from. And now I go into my tool. and I'm going to log into SharePoint. So bear with me while I do that. And let's go next. So it'll take a minute to log in. And now you can see all the lists that I have in that SharePoint site that I am migrating from. Now the trick here is that I'm going to have a parent-child relationship. Remember that that form is going to have a main form and then repeating sections. So the first one I want is the parent, and then I'll have the two child lists. So I have three lists that I want to create in a new site, right? So here they are. I've got those guys. And now let's go to the next step. So there I am in step 3. Let's go to step 4. Now I'm going to point at the site where I want to migrate it to. And remember that I had a site that I set up called conference site, right? So I'm going to go ahead. It doesn't have those lists, as you can see now. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that URL in to my tool. Hit the next. And what it'll do for me is it'll say, hey, do you want me to create those lists? Because remember, I've got to have the same data structure exactly in the new list or site that I had in the old site when I migrate this. So I'm going to say, go ahead. Yes, I want to create those lists. So I just hit the create list and give it a minute. And now the tool will run, and it will create exact copies of the lists that are used behind the Power App in the new target, which is this conference site target, if you remember. So we'll give it a minute to make those lists. It's just cranking along, creating those. And this is a live demo, so it's always exciting for you guys to see this stuff work in process. We'll let it finish up here in a minute. It's making 3 different lists for me right now. And while we wait on that, it looks like it's just about finished. I think it just finished. Let's hit the next. Okay, and then what we're going to do is take a package. So before I do that, let's refresh this page and see if it made the list for us. So there they are. Look at that. I have the GL payout, the migrated petty cash, and the petty cash GL. This is the parent. These are the 2 child lists. And if I look at the settings, I can see that it created all the different fields that I need for my app. Can you imagine doing that by hand? Not a lot of fun, right? So let's go back to our app. And now I'm going to pick up the package. This is the zip file that I created, that I exported. I showed you that trick, so let's go get it. So if I say open, and I go to SharePoint Conference, and I go to Conference Demo, there it is right there, and I open it. And I'm going to create a copy. So here's my create copy. And I want to give it a unique name, so I'll just let it be new. That's fine with me. So right now, what's happening is our tool is walking through that zip file, and it's changing the reference from every list in the old app to a reference in the new site, the new lists that we just created. And it might be hard for you guys to understand the complexity here, but for you to do that by hand is no small feat. So the tool just went ahead and did the conversion for us. And we do the next step now. And it says, okay, we're done. We have converted the package successfully. And now what we want to do is open up that form in the new site, make a few small changes, and we have migrated this. So let's go in and take a look at what's going on here. And before I do that, let's just double check if there's any questions. I'm not sure if anyone's on this call or not, but we will see. Let me know if anyone has any questions. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is come into the new site that I created, and I'm going to open up that Power App that we just migrated in. So let's go. It's called Conference Site, Migrated Petty Cash. I come into Power Apps, and I go into Customize Forms. We'll give it a minute here. Oops. Let's just double check. We're going to say new instead. Oops. Let's try this again. So if I go into my migrated petty cache, I think I should have just said new right there. So let's go ahead and just redo that again real quick. I'm going to recreate a new site, go through the steps very quickly. It won't take but a moment for us to do that. So let me go ahead and do that real quick, and we'll go ahead and make a new site that we'll put all this into. So we're going to run through the tool quickly and make that migration happen. You'll see how fast it happens when you really know what you're doing here. So let's go in here real quick. Let's go into Site Contents. I'm going to make a new subsite. I'm going to call this one Sample. We'll just call it Sample. I'll go ahead and create that. And I'm just making a new blank site. So it'll take just a minute. It's going to be called Petty Cache Sample. And I'm going to go through the steps again quickly to export that app out. And we're going to import it back in and just walk through it very quickly. It won't take us but a minute. So let me save that off here real quick. I'll put that guy right here. Here's my new target. Here's the source file that I'm going to be using. Let's go ahead and exit that, and we'll start P2P again real fast. Let's fire it up. And we'll do the next. Here is our source site, as we remembered last time. And I'll put in my password. Get going here. Okay, I'll pick that list again. There's 1, 2, 3. Next. I'm going to put in the source site that I want to migrate to. So this is our sample that we just made. We'll come back to our tool. We'll go to Sample. I'm going to log in. That's correct. I'll say create the lists. Give it a minute to make them. So I'm just walking through the process again. I want to do this in real time to show you how fast you can migrate and move these Power Apps around. So it takes just a minute to create this for us. And then I'm going to export out the package. It's already there, so it's set to go, and I'll just import it into this new one. So we're just going ahead and creating this new set of lists in the sample. Let's go to next. Let's get the existing package file. So I'm going to open that one up that I had, which is this guy here. Remember the other one was called new, so I'll open it. I'll create a copy. I'm going to call this one SP Conference Sample and save it. So now the tool will run through and create that sample references to our sample site. It won't take but a minute. And then I'm going to import this into Power Apps for us. We'll do next. Last step, we go to Power Apps, we import it, and then we open it up. So now we'll go to Power Apps, say OK, exit. Go here to Power Apps. Let's go to Apps. Let's go to Import Canvas App. Let's upload that new file that I created. Let's go find that. And it's right here, the conference demo. And I called it Sample. Let's open it. It's going to upload that, and you see it's uploading it. Don't navigate away. Let it run. And now it's going to take that modified zip file that I created. And you can see here that it's saying, hey, do I want to do this? Am I set to go? Is that what I want to do? And I say create as new. Yes, I'm good. Let's go ahead and import it. So now we run it. Don't navigate away. Just give it a minute. And when it's done, It looks like it imported properly. So now if I go to my app, and it just takes a minute to open this up in the studio. And what it's doing is it's associated this now with that new sample site that I created, which is great. So we'll let it open up. Now the last thing I need to do is replace the connectors, because you'll see here that it's open, everything's fine, but it's pointing to the old site. So what I want to do now is I go to View, Data Sources, and I'm going to delete these data sources that are pointing back to the old site. I'll remove it. I'll remove it. I'll remove it. And now I'm going to put in a reference to the new site that I created, sample, remember? So I'll pick Sharepoint Connector, and I'll go grab my sample URL, which is this guy. Go back into my Power Apps. Let's see, where am I at here? I am right here, and I'm going to put that into this guy here, Connect. And I'm going to pick the 3 lists that I created with my tool and connect. So just give it a minute. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And you'll see a couple little red X's. So what you want to do to finish this off is just refresh, refresh, refresh. Now I will file, save, and publish. Now I publish this to SharePoint. And guess what? I have just migrated that app, which was an embedded form, into this site called Sample. Do you see it? And if I go now to the migrated petty cache, which is the parent, and say new, voila, there it is. We have the migrated Power App. There was an embedded Power App in a new SharePoint site. So I'll just say Dave's new migrated app. And a couple of things here. Fix my typo. Call this one Red Bluff. And I will pick a couple of dates. And that's good enough for now, I think. Let's go ahead and save it. Look at that. Is that a beautiful thing? And there it is. Everything's ready to go. I just migrated an embedded SharePoint Power App that's associated with 3 lists to a new site with our tool. And how long did that take me? 5 minutes? 10 minutes max? And it also would migrate the flows. You saw every step that I had to do to make that happen. So let's briefly recap what I did. I made a new SharePoint site. I went to the site that held the Power App that I'm going to migrate. I picked the lists in the proper order that I wanted to migrate. I then pointed to the target where I want to migrate it to. I made sure those are the different lists that I wanted. I created the lists. Then I opened up the package that we had exported. The tool went ahead, all of the changes converted all the references, and now the tool's done. So then I went to Power Apps and I imported the modified package into Power Apps, as you can see here. And it was successfully imported. So I went ahead and opened the app. You can see it running here. And I went ahead and removed the old connectors. I just took them out. Now they're gone. I added the connectors to the list that I created in the target site. I just typed SharePoint. I then put in the URL for this new site. I picked the different lists that I need. I refreshed. I saved. I published. and it worked. And this is the migrated site. Here is the original. Let's take a look at, let's see, that guy. The original one is, let's find that guy. Original guy is here. Let me just grab this guy. So here's the original app with the data. And that's the app here, the Office Store Visit, for example. And then here's the one that I migrated, just like that. How crazy is that? So if you go out to PowerApps, you'll find there are, I think, 550 people that have voted Microsoft to try and create this capability. And they promised that they were working on it about 2 years ago, and it still has not yet been released. So this is similar in a lot of ways to the idea of a solution with CDS, but this is a way that you can have development, test, and production with embedded SharePoint forms. So hope you guys like that. Now there might be a question around, well, how do I update? So today what we do is if you wanted to do the ALM, Application Lifecycle Management, and you want to update a form that you've already created, it's pretty simple. Go to the parent list, select the form settings option, then you select the use default and you delete that custom form. Make any changes that you might have made into the list settings, just go ahead and add any you might have added. And then you export just as I showed you in the last bit of the demo. Export again, you modify the package, you import, you delete the old connections, you put in the new connections, and that's it. And you can do this in probably, like I said, I showed you what it take 5 minutes to do the migration. So if you want to know more information about this, here's my contact information. Here's information about the tool. The tool pricing is based on moves, but we can come up with a site license for you if you want to do a lot of moves of applications. And I just wanted to see if there were any questions out in the audience at all. Okay, it looks like we have no questions. So I wanted to just say thank you very much. Let's see if there's any more here. Looks like this is for a lot of other things. That looks like this is for other sessions that are out there. So wanted to say thank you if anyone had joined this call, didn't get any questions, but that's okay. Want to finish up with a review. This is feedback for me. You can just do the QR code and for the event as well. I'll stay online here for a few more minutes if there's any questions that pop up. And if not, we got through this session pretty quickly. And you can move on to your next session or join another one in progress. Please let me know if you have any questions, just unmute, or I will check the conversation, the chat as well. I'm just looking here. It looks like there's a question here from Fabian. It says, are there any boundaries with this method of migration, like the number of columns in the list or the fields displayed in the PowerApps form? The answer to that is no. We're not aware of any limitations or boundaries with migrating a tool like I'm showing you here. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay, last thing, I'll put up the link again because it looks like we did have some folks watching along. If you want to learn more about it and see more demos, you can just go to this link here, or you could email me directly. But we use this tool nonstop. We do a lot of consulting for companies where we do the development in our environment, and we do a lot of testing and a lot of things like where we're trying things out. And then when we're ready to move it into their environment, we use this tool to move that product that we've developed for them or solution into their environment. And you could do the same if you're a consultant or if you're internal. If you really want to get some application lifecycle management going, I mean, I think it's a worst practice to be making changes to production apps in production. That's just in my mind, a horrible idea. So I think that it would be great if you were to use this tool to do a development environment in one SharePoint site, then a test environment in another, and then a production environment, of course, for people that are in production. Are there any other questions? It looks like everybody's, they're putting in nice comments here, but I'm not afraid to take any questions you might have or any suggestions. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you very much for you guys joining. Again, here's my contact info, and reach out to me directly if you want to see more information about this. But I hope you all have a safe rest of the conference. It's virtual, but we're doing our best, and we're all staying healthy this way. So thank you so much for joining. My name is Dave Chennault. I'm with Skylight Systems. It's a pleasure sharing this with you this evening here near Los Angeles, California. And wherever you are, stay well and keep learning.